Hello guys, here I have brought a novel which is an example of diasporic text. The novel opens with the judge sitting with a young girl, Sai, on the veranda in Cho Oyu and the cook preparing tea. A group of men from the Gorkha National Liberation, that is GNLF, arrives in their home in such a manner that all of them get nervous, and the judge hands over his gun, rifles, and whatever the things they demanded. The judge asks the cook to file a complaint in the police station. Later, the police arrive and search the house because they could not find anything. They suspect the cook and search the cook's residence. They tear apart his son's Biju's letters. Biju, who is the cook's son, works at Grace Papaya in the heart of Manhattan. But he was asked to leave by the manager. So by riding on his bicycle, he went to various restaurants to get a job. Biju used to send his money to his father along with letters. After finally settling with another job in a French restaurant, he was fired because of a customer's complaint about the food. Here's the reason why the girl named Sai was living with the judge. Sai was 8 years old when she had left St. Augustine's convent, as her parents died in an accident. The nuns of the convent then found her grandfather's number. Her grandfather is the judge. Sai arrived at the judge's home 9 years ago. First, the judge was not happy with Sai's arrival, but when they exchanged a few words, he was elated that they both shared the same background. The judge started to think about his own home when he was at the age of 20, when he was selected to study in the Cambridge University for the study of civil service. By the end of 20, he had a wife of 14 years, Nimi. At Cambridge, he was treated like an outcast because of skin color and his accent. Next morning, after Sai arrives, the cook takes her to their neighbor, Noni, in search of a tutor for Sai. Noni, who lives with her sister Lola. They pass the houses of Uncle Potty, Father Booty, the Afghan princesses, and Mrs. Sen. All of them are upper classes and well educated. Now the narration shifts to Biju's lifestyle. His second year in America begins at an Italian restaurant from where he is once again fired because the owners believe he smells bad. He then takes a job at a Chinese restaurant, delivering food on a bicycle. In the winter, it is freezing, and he is fired because the food he delivers becomes too cold by the time he arrives. Biju returns to a basement in Harlem, where he lives with other undocumented immigrants in destitute conditions. He then gets another job at the Queen of Tarts bakery. Sai knowing her grandfather more closely from the cook. Cook exaggerates grandfather's wealth and social standing in front of Sai. But the truth is, grandfather belongs from a peasant family. He was a topper in his class, and as I said, he had studied from Cambridge. When Sai turns 16, Noni realizes that she will need a teacher for science and maths. So she hires a 21-year-old boy, Gyan, for Sai, who is struggling to get a job. On the first glance, they were enchanted on one another. Sai asks about her grandmother to the cook, and the cook lies that her grandfather loved his wife. When the judge left for England, he didn't have enough money to study abroad. So a gentleman named Boman Bhai Patel was extremely wealthy and was interested in the judge. He offered his most beautiful daughter of 14 years to the judge. They both get married shortly. She is named Nimi by the judge's family. Here in America, Biju and his friend Said aimed to get their green cards. But they were deceived as their money was stolen by some fraudulent men. Here the romance between Sai and Gyan blooming magnificently, and Gyan discusses little about his family with Sai. Meanwhile, Lola and Noni discuss the growing political rumblings of the Nepalis living in India, who are demanding a separate state, more job opportunities, and schools that can teach the Nepalis. But Lola begins to see her own prejudice when a neighbor, Mrs. Sen, starts speaking about Pakistanis with the same kind of bias. Biju now works in Ghandi Cafe, owned by Harish Harry. Harish Harry invites the staff to live in the basement below the kitchen, but then pays them a quarter of minimum wage. Sai celebrates Christmas with the neighbors. And what about Gyan? Gyan joins the procession of GNLF. Then Gyan yells at Sai for following the English tradition. Later he apologizes Sai, but they end up fighting with each other. The judge remembers his married life with Nimi. When he had returned from England, how his wife used his powder puff, and he was furious that he raped his wife. Gyan tells his friend about Judge's guns and the presence of no telephone in the house. Remember in the beginning how some men attacked in their house and how the judge surrendered his guns and rifles. So they are those men. Now let's come back to the present time when Father Booty, Uncle Potty, Noni, Lola and Sai go to exchange their library books. Before the JNLF closes more roads and shops. When they start to walk back to their car, they spot a procession of JNLF and Sai sees Gyan there. He ignores her. On the way back, Father Booty is stopped by the police. It is discovered that he is in India illegally and he is quickly deported. Sai visits Gyan's home and pities his condition, because of which Gyan gets furious and beats her. And when she returns, she finds that wife of the drunkard, who is severely beaten by the police, is begging for money from the judge. The cook then joins the GNLF. Because of the extreme commotion on the roads, police fires in the open air. Many young boys were killed. The police run away and seek shelter in private homes. Lola and Noni turn them away. Biju returns to his home, India. Biju catches a ride with some GNLF men. They take him most of the way before dropping him off and robbing him of all of his possessions, money and clothing. He is forced to walk the rest of the way to Kalimpong. Aftermath of all this happened, Judge's dog named Mutt was stolen by the woman, wife of the drunkard. To get some amount of money, the judge again thinks back about his old days, how he had abandoned his wife. The judge was in a tour and his wife, Nimi, unknowingly became a part of the Nehru Welcoming Committee for the Indian National Congress Party. The judge had returned and been confronted by the district commissioner. He lost a promotion and had been incredibly embarrassed. When he arrives home, he beats and kicks her. 6 months later, their daughter was delivered. The judge never met them, as she was taken care by her brother. But one day, Nimi dies when her sleeves caught fire. The judge distraught over Mutt's disappearance and he threatens to kill the cook. Cook informs everything to Gyan. Gyan decides to find Mutt for Sai. The cook begs the judge to beat him and the judge kicks him several times. Finally, Biju finds the way to meet his father. Biju arrives at the gate of the judge when the cook was beaten severely by the judge. The novel ends with father and son's reunion. Guys, if you have understood how the diasporic text works, then do hit the like button. Also subscribe to the channel to stay updated with the new videos relevant to English literature.